Okay. Ooh, official. Well, my name is John C. So those people don't know me. I'm the executive director of GAMA, and T, one of our members with Hobbit, suggested we have this town hall meeting today. So I'm putting that out there front. Everybody knows that this is T's idea, and so I'm happy that she suggested it.
For better or for worse.
Exactly, and so I'm glad that they're here today joining us. And so basically the goal is just to kind of open us up for questions, tell a little bit about what GAMA. I hope everybody knows what GAMA is, but if not, I want to settle the stage a little bit with who we are, some of the services that we offer, some things that we're looking at doing to help support our new membership categories, and then kind of open it up for questions. And Tia, there's something else that you would like to talk about or bring up, that's fine too.
Basically those lines. The other thing that I really wanted was to offer a forum for you all who are considering joining or have joined as a media member to GAMA to field not only questions, but specifically requests. Like, what would incentivize you to join as a member? What would you be looking for? What kind of transitions or things would you like GAMA to be working towards that would help your business as a board game media person? So that's something to keep in mind as John goes over what GAMA does, and when we get into the Q&A chat open forum part. So yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I will just dive in then, and so people understand who and what GAMA is. Basically, we're a membership organization, and we're a nonprofit. And so when I hear people say, "Well, GAMA is doing this, GAMA is doing that," I remind them that GAMA is them. They are members of GAMA, therefore they get to help direct what GAMA should be doing and what we are doing. I've been in the nonprofit world now for more years than I like to admit. I started working in the 90s and doing nonprofit management with the statewide trade association. This is the fifth association I've worked for. I'm very happy to be here. It's been a really interesting 2.5 years, to say the least. This is a volatile time to be involved in any kind of association that's dealing with retail or shipping or any of those kind of issues, because it's such a difficult time right now given the pandemic. But GAMA, as I said, is a trade association, and we're a nonprofit that helps to support the hobby games industry. And we do that through doing a number of events, our consumer show Origins to help publishers get out in front of consumers, our trade show to do the B2B for members to interact with each other. We do a number of networking events at other shows. I know before the pandemic, I went to Europe twice. We did a networking event at Nuremberg Toy Fair. And then we also did another one at the Essentials Retailer Summit at Essen in 2019. And so we're trying to recognize that we are a global membership. We have members in over 21 countries, which is exciting. And then we also work with other associations here in the United States. And so some things that I've interfaced with since I started was the Toy Association, ASTRA, the National Manufacturer Association, the Retailer Federation. We've done a couple of shows with the booksellers. We've actually taken publishers, have gone to the booksellers show in Baltimore in 20, I think it was. We set up a demo room, and we had 10 publishers there demoing games for booksellers, which was great. We started working on a program with the Library Association, but that fell through during the pandemic. We're hoping to kind of bring that back up in 22. I know the Mark Expansion Committee has been working on a program with the libraries to kind of work on getting game libraries in libraries. That's a tongue twister. Another big issue I've been working on has been around tariffs and importing issues. And so we've partnered with Tariffs Start the Heartlands and Americans for Free Trade to go to DC twice to lobby against the tariffs that the Trump administration put on products being imported from China. And then we're currently working with the Department of Commerce around issues with the ports, with what they're paying the people who are working in the docks, some of the backlogs happening on importing products. So a lot of work that I do on the national level is advocating and lobbying, working with Toy Association and other groups. So that's basically what GAMA does. But on the individual level, what does that mean for you as a member? So we're trying to create programs to help support you to grow and develop your business, to connect with other industry professionals, and to provide a safe and fun environment to do business in. Some of the you may be aware that probably the reason we're having this conversation is because in July we had a new bylaws revamp. We spent months, almost a year, working on putting together a new bylaw led by Julie Aaron, who was the chairperson of that committee, and Brian Dalrymple before her, who did yeoman work to get that put together. It was a lot of hard work for that committee pulling that together. But the centerpiece was we expanded our membership from just being a publisher of information to one that hopefully represents the entire industry. And so we have 6 new membership voting groups, and they're listed here on the screen for you. Obviously, the one we're talking today is the media and events. People who are involved in promoting tabletop games and tabletop playing to the general public, which is a pretty broad spectrum, right? And so since this is a new group, as is the designers group, and as well as the production, I'm trying to find ways to kind of serve and help support you guys as well, because we've been focused so much on the wholesale, the retailer, and the publishers. That's been our focus for 40 plus years. And so this is a new tomorrow for us. And so we're definitely looking for input in how to make the organization more responsive over the next 40 years as we grow this to represent the entire spectrum of the industry. So I'll stop there and see maybe questions about the organization, about the new categories before I move on. And please feel free to just jump in and ask questions if you have them.
Tony had a question in the chat, which is what if you would belong to more than one group? Which I know a lot of people in the industry wear hats. That's a great question.
Yes, they wear lots of hats.
Yep.
Basically, you determine which primary group you want to belong to, and that's the one that you would go into. We also have a non-voting group called Communicating. And so if you don't really want to jump in with both feet, you just kind of want to see what it's like, and you can join as a communicating member.
Yes.
And we'll get into a little difference what those things are in a few minutes.
Yeah, and
so if you were, I'm sorry, go ahead, T.
I was going to just point out, you can attend the board meetings and town halls as a voting member or as a communicating member. So either one, you would still have access to the information, but some of the other stuff you would not have access to if you were a creating member.
Yeah, so basically think of it this way: if you're a voting member, you basically get everything included in your one dues. If you're communicating, it's kind of like an a la carte menu. I'm not going to go to Origins. I don't care about the Origins badges they get for free as a voting member. So I don't care about that. I don't pay for that. I'll just be a communicating member. And so you have a little more flexibility for that as well. And also it's a good kind of starting step into the industry without jumping in at the little higher price point. But we try to keep our dues affordable. They are set by the board of directors. And so when we have the new board in, they'll determine what the dues are for 23, but the dues are set for 22 already. Which we'll get into in a few minutes. Okay, cool. Any other questions in the chat or otherwise? Okay, hearing none, I'll move forward. So here's some program services that we currently offer. And again, this is set up, keep in mind, a lot of this is set up for the current membership we have that are the retailers, the wholesalers, and the publishers. So some of these may not appeal to people in your membership group. And that's why we're kind of having this idea to kind of figure out how we can connect more things to you. So, obviously the key one is voting rights. And so each voting group gets determined who they want to serve and be their voice on the board of directors. And under the new system, each division will have 2 seats on the board, comprising 12 members. And so as part of a transition plan, we're electing 6 next month on the board. And then next March, we'll elect the final 6. At that point, we'll have a new constituted board. And that allows us to do a transition with some stability. So it's not just a whole people shoved in that say, hey, good luck, thumbs up. Now we have kind of a transition plan. And so, because over the next 3 months, we have to create the budget for 22. We have to do all these things getting ready for 22. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot to ask for new board members. And so there'll be some legacy members to kind of shepherd them through. And then they'll all roll off in March, or they can stand if they want for one of the 6 seats based on what category they may be in. So some of them may stay on, but most of them may roll off. But as of March next year, we'll have a brand new board in concept as well as in reality. So It's a very exciting time to be part of this association, to say the least.
So I will point out with these board changes, this is kind of important for anybody that's looking at becoming a member specifically under the media and events category. You will have 2 seats representing your division on the board, one of which is being elected in the election happening in a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, starting the first.
And the second one will be voted in March. So if you would like to participate in the voting that happens next week, you can join for this year. And then you'll be able to vote in that. And then otherwise, as long as you join before the March one, you can participate and vote for that. You can also run for that seat in March. Nominations to run for the seat that's voted for next week has already closed. So yeah, so that's for the voting and the board position thing specifically, kind of some more info on that.
Correct. Sorry, my dog's outside barking, so it's feeding time. He gets fed exactly at 12, and he has this routine. My wife's taking care of him, thankfully. And the rain just started up again.
Oh no!
It's been pouring here all day, which is great because our garden needs it. The next thing we have up here is the GAMA Expo. That is our main business-to-business trade event throughout the year. Currently, it's happening in Reno. We've been there now for 4 years, I believe. We have 2 more years in Reno, and then we're moving to Louisville, which is our next destination we're going to. That's a show with about 2,500 attendees, mostly publishers and retailers, but we've been having a growing education tracks for designers, as well as for manufacturers. And so we'll be instituting a new track for meeting events at the Reno next year. And hopefully some people on this call will be part of creating that program. But it is 4 days, Monday through Thursday. It culminates with the exhibit hall on the last 2 days. It's a great networking opportunity if you have a chance to go, but it is a members only event. You must be a member of GAMA to attend that program. And then our consumer show is Origins, which is coming up in 5 short weeks. 5 weeks from the day we kick off, and we do a trade day there as well. But this year we're actually doing trade days. It's 2 days. It's Wednesday, Thursday, mostly because we haven't had an in-person trade event since March of 2020. We really want people to come together. And so we've got about a dozen or so publishers who will be there. We've got over 50 retailers who are signed up so far. We've got a dozen educational programs. We're doing 2 days of demo nights. And some presentations, like I said, from publishers to the retailers. And so we're hoping to keep growing, expanding our trade B2B event at Origins as well. Especially in 22, we get back to a full-size show.
And I do want to say that, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but media members, if you are a member of GAMA, you are still welcome to those trade shows, even though they are targeted traditionally more to B2B. So you could cover those as like press or whatnot, as part of the perk of being a member is you can attend those shows that are traditionally more for retailers and publishers and manufacturers. Yeah.
So that's a great place to go network and hear what's happening in the industry and meet people and do business. So if you are a voting member, you get a complimentary badge to both Origins and to Expo. If you are a communicating member, you can buy a badge a la carte at a member discount, but you still have to buy a badge if you're a communicating member for those shows. In addition, we have a couple other things, like we have a year-round educational programs, some in person, some online. They've all been online for a year now. But we're looking forward to getting back into in-person education programs and events. We have a quarterly networking event online. The next one is September 9th. It's on a platform called Spatial Chat. Those of you who attended the trade show this year, it was virtual. The platform is phenomenal. It worked really well for us. Especially those who did the late night karaoke in the bar. It was an interesting week. But we're using that again for our quarterly network events, and we'll actually be doing hybrid expo next year. And so we use Spatial Chat as well as doing it in person. So if you can't make it out to Reno for a variety of reasons, you can still be part of the expo in some part on virtually.
And I will say, to perk it up, for the webinars and education seminars, if you are interested in a specific topic as a member, you can mention that to the board. And John and the GAMA crew do a great job finding an expert or several experts in that area to actually come in and talk. And oftentimes they're from outside of the games industry even. So it's a really great resource where they do the hard work and find you an expert to talk to you about the topic that you're interested in. So that's really nice.
Shared resources, right? That's how we look at it. But we also have committees, so I'm going to go over in a few minutes. I got a list of those that are looking for volunteers. It's a great way to get involved in the industry, is to actually join and be part of a committee and help provide content for your peers, and also develop your own expertise in those subjects. We also have a number of business discounts, and these may or may not apply to you based on how you're structured, for the shipping discounts, or we offer health insurance. And I will admit it's not very good health insurance. I'll just say that up front. Probably because the way our industry is structured, we have a lot of small and independent people, and it's hard to get group rates unless they all come together for a group pool, and we've not been able to do that so far. Once the current contract expires in 22, we're going to go out again and bid it out again, and try to get hopefully a larger risk pool to kind of bring in better rates. But so we're working on that. But also we've like discounts at FedEx and those sort of things too, for being a member. And then lastly, we do have a Facebook group, several actually on Facebook, for people to kind of get together and network. Some are more productive than others, but that's the nature of the internet. And so those are a lot of ways that we communicate and provide value for our members. We also have a weekly members update newsletter that goes out every Wednesday with things that are going on in the industry as well as with the association. And so it's great to keep people connected to each other as well.
We had a question that we have some great questions that I'm going to bring up in the QA, but this one is, I think, more relevant to right now. For the health insurance and discounts that you mentioned, John, are those US only, or are there international discounts and incentives as well?
I believe most of them are US based. But I know we've been trying to find some discounts that are available for our Canadian partners, members, as well as some in Europe. If you have ideas for that, we're definitely willing to go out and look at and try to find those. And so it's like, hey, I need help in this. Please let us know. We can try to find those for you. The one thing the team and I want, the staff and I want to say is we want to be responsive to members' requests. We try to say yes as often as we can. We always can't say yes. We try. And so we're a service organization here to help our members. So if you have ideas, bring them to us and we'll say, we'll try. Like health insurance, we tried. Wasn't that good, but we tried. We're going to have a better one next time, I hope. So that's the goal. Cool. All right. So moving down to committees and work groups. I mentioned this is a good way to get active, engage with the association, and to build your expertise and your connections with the industry. And here's some ones that we're looking for people to help out at. The first one is the Academy of Adventure Gaming Arts and Design. This is the organization that organizes the Origin Awards and does the Origins Hall of Fame. We've restructured it under the new bylaws. This is now a standing committee, which is under the auspices of of GAMA. Before it was kind of like a separate floating thing out there, kind of doing its own thing with the staff kind of supporting and running it. We really realized we need to have more buy-in members to help make this be successful. And so we're now looking for members to be on that committee to help organize the Origin Awards for 22, as well as to figure out how we can promote the Academy. The second one is the Advocacy Committee. I mentioned I do quite a bit of work working with the federal government, also with state governments, advocating on product labeling laws, shipping things, tariffs, kid safety, lots of whole host of issues that come up through the Toy Association or through our other partners. And so currently there's 3 of us in that committee. And so I would like some help on that committee because I'm the leader, head of that committee. But I like people who are interested in maybe talking to the legislator or getting more involved in these kind of issues. So that's a good place to get involved too. This has been a really good growth committee for us, Diversity and Inclusion Committee. This has been a major focus of GAMA over the last year for good reason. That we were behind the times in that. So we've been making a really good effort to become a more inclusive organization against the new membership categories. And so Mark Truman is the chairperson with Magpie Games, the chairperson of this committee. And he has several work groups underneath him, and they've been going gangbusters over the last few months. A new project that they put out is the Horizon Fellowship. So we had 42 applicants for this scholarship. And so basically it's an accelerator program, people who are new to the industry. And certainly there's four categories. It's for either new or brand new or a early market retailer or for a publisher. I could see us expanding this in the future years, but currently it's just those 4 categories. And each of them comes with a several $1,000 scholarship to help underwrite some education for them, to pay for them to come to the GAMA Expo, giving them a hotel room for the week. If they're a publisher, they get a table in the entrepreneurs area to promote their products and meet people. And then they'll spend the next 6 months working with mentors and coaches to help build their business plans and learn more about the industry and can help bring them up to speed, which is it's a really phenomenal program. We had over 40 applicants. We've raised $30,000 to support this program for 22 for the first cohort. And that came all from the diversity committee. That was their idea. And so major kudos to them for that idea. We're very happy we can support that as a team. The next up is the Education Advisory Committee. This is the committee that he had mentioned that they coordinate the bulk of our education programs. And I say the bulk because the retailers still do a lot of their own education because they have some legacy programs that they've been working on. But we're trying to get one person from each of the 6 membership categories groups on this committee that we can have a more well-rounded and diverse education program that reflects the entire membership, not just one tier. And so if you're interested in being part of this, we're definitely looking for a media or events person to be on this committee. They meet, I think, monthly. Julie Aaron on our board is the chairperson of that committee, although I think she's looking for someone to take her place because she's over committee. She's also chair of the bylaws committee, as well as being on the board of directors. So she does a lot, but she does it well. So I think she would definitely appreciate some reinforcements on that committee. And I think there's a lot of potential to grow that and offer a lot more programs for our members.
Yeah, you're muted.
And
correct me if I'm wrong, John. I don't believe you have to be a paying voting member to be on a committee, correct?
That's correct.
What are they even talking about? Like they're just going over all this again.
You are currently unmuted, Jacob Kurowski. We can hear you.
Thanks for
The
that.
next,
Yep.
our
You might want to know. Okay.
and it's being recorded.
Yes.
The next committee is market expansion, and this is a new committee we created in the last 6 months, and this is looking at ways to grow the industry into new markets. They're the ones I mentioned, working with the Library Association. They're also looking at creating some industry-wide advertising to get people more interested in playing tabletop games. And so they've got a very broad mission, and so this could be a really interesting committee for somebody, especially with media background, to be part of, for sure. And then lastly, we have the newly expanded membership committee. In the past, this committee was looking at if you are qualified to be a member. We're trying to expand it to become more of a member services committee, looking for new programs and ideas to help support and grow our industry and our association. And so again, we like to have people. I think T, you volunteered to be part of this committee, I believe. Is the Tribune, I think it was. Sacrifice, I think is the term you used.
Yes, I've volunteered for 4 of these committees and gotten no emails back from any of them, but I've volunteered, so there's that. Yeah. All right, we do have some great questions in the backlog, so let me know, John, when we're ready to shift to that.
I think it's a good time to move to that, I think.
Okay, cool.
So it was looking for discussion and feedback, so let me start with your questions.
Perfect. So we have some great questions, and I was going to hit Crystal's up first because Crystal's questions are really good. But I think in regards to kind of where we're talking right now, Jeremy had some great questions, which was, how are you addressing outreach? He was not aware that there were even seats available, that kind of stuff. And then just in general, there's been some comments and questions in regards to communication and things and how things are open. And I can't answer for John, but I can say from my perspective, the communication directed to outside of GAMA has not been really great on this kind of information stuff, which is why we made this town hall. So that's why I pushed for this town hall. That's why we all have you here now. So it's definitely something that GAMA wants to improve. And I personally am very interested in making it better for you all to be aware of what's happening, for non-members to be aware of what's happening. So getting more press involved, getting more media creators involved will help with that messaging as well. So is that, I don't know, John, if there's anything else on that you want to touch on.
No, I would agree that, we are been very internally focused the last few months, mostly because like many companies and organizations, we've been had to downsize our staff because of the pandemic. And, when I started here, year and a half, two and a half years ago, wow, it's been 2.5 years. We had 10 staff people. Now we have 4 full-time staff people and a couple of part-time contractors because we're trying to be frugal with the members' money and starting to get, not go too much in debt. And, we had a very significant deficit last year because of not having origins. And so this year we've been very tight with the budget. And so we've been talking about how we communicate externally. And that's one of our main focuses once we get the origins in 5 weeks, is to figuring out to better communicate. And so having these kind of forums is great. Getting feedback from members on that is also good. And so I do agree we could definitely do a much better job on that. And so I'm happy we're making these small steps to do that.
This question is really quick to answer, so I'm going to jump to this one. Kim asks, who do we contact if we're interested in volunteering for a committee?
That would be me. You can email me directly. That is john.stacy, S-T-A-C-Y, @gamma.org. Or you can also email ed, which is easier, ed@gamma.org, which goes for executive director. Both those come right to me. So
another one, Jeremy had so many great questions. Specifically about the Horizon Fellowship, GAMA said, would GAMA make something like this for content creators, mentor programs? And I believe the answer is absolutely.
Yeah. This is a pilot program for the first year. And we had a meeting last week, the first day committee, looking at the applicants. And we're definitely open to, once we finish this in March, we'll spend probably April and May doing evaluations and then looking at reopening at the second round in September of next year. And so I'm definitely be open to expanding this to other of the membership groups for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a timing thing where a lot of these programs were created with the existing GAMA membership in mind. And so they were made and marketed specifically for that. And then the new division memberships just became available in the last month. And so some of these programs will include those people, the new member divisions, more in the future, but currently they just aren't in that wheelhouse. Okay, back to Crystal's great question that I said I was going to start with that I didn't. What does GAMA hope to do better as an organization with the addition of these new groups?
Basically, to be more representative of the entire industry and not just the publishers and what their needs are. And so this was a major step forward, I think, for the organization to agree that we need to work collaboratively with all the tiers together. I think that's the major thing we're doing here. But a lot of it comes from getting input from these new members, because it's a chicken egg thing. I mean, in that we open the doors, but we don't necessarily have a lot of programs for them yet. And so we need your help to help us create those programs and be that it has value for you to be part of the association. And hopefully it creates our little flywheel gets way faster, people get more involved, and we kind of build the organization that way. But this is one of our first steps to do that.
Yeah. Andy asks, do you have to be an existing member to be elected as a board member?
So under the new bylaws, you have to be a employed or a member to be on the board, which means you can be a communicating member and be on the board of directors, or you can be a voting member and be on the board of directors. But you have to be elected by a voting group, and they have to want you to be their representative. So there's that little check and balances there. So,
and I do want to clarify, and the reason I was smiling when I asked this, because I asked this at the board meeting last week, or I don't even know, time is weird. But one thing that was clarified in that meeting, which is a little different for larger scale companies, is a GAMA membership, a GAMA voting membership is actually for a company. And so the company that is the voting member can have representatives who come in and vote. So I'm just going to use, I don't know, I'll use Our Family Plays Games because I saw you in the thing. Let's say that you all register as a voting family or a voting member. So your family is the company that is your organization is the voting member. And so anyone that is employed by that company can run for the board because the company is the voting member. But if you're talking about an individual, the individual person can also be a communicating member, or if they're not employed by a company that is a voting member, they can be a communicating member and then run for board that way. So
also likewise that not just the board, but if anybody who's affiliated with that same company can take advantage of any of our programs and services, whether it's come to our shows or to the online trainings or to our networking, those type of things. It's not just whoever the representative of that company is. It's anybody who's part of that company can take advantage of the services.
Yes, exactly. So for the example I'm using, Our Family Plays Games, all three of you could come to GAMA because your company is the voting member kind of thing. So yeah. Okay, that probably led to more questions. Another one we have from Crystal is regarding the educational events. Are there current or are there future plans for educational events geared towards helping industry professionals learn more about how to create more diverse and inclusive products, e.g. cultural consulting, getting in touch with creators outside the larger known, well-known channels, etc.?
Yes. One of the things that the Diversity Inclusion Committee is working on, they have an education team that is led by Megan Burns with TCG Player. And we actually had a call yesterday with a couple other members. We're bringing in an outside consultant to help do these things, but we're also going to be supplementing that with a peer-to-peer education.
Yes.
And so the plan is starting fourth quarter of this year, we're going to start doing either monthly or quarterly education geared on this particular topic and just run it through an entire year calendar for 22.
And I will say, GAMA trade show, there's always panels and seminars and that. And I will say that Ross Thompson and Danny, I don't remember Danny's last name, several of us from publishing companies actually held a seminar at GAMA talking about how to engage with creators, media creators that were outside of the larger known. That was part of what we did, but it wasn't part of the bigger education. So those conversations have been happening, but usually it's just publisher to publisher. So as we bring in more media people into GAMA, we can absolutely have better conversations because we'll actually have creators in the conversations giving input and feedback as well. So it's one of the reasons I'm excited there's now a media member.
But I have to do a quick little pop in on that too.
Yeah.
That panel we had was really fun, and it was good that we could have that that talk and discussion. And it's great that GAMA was allowed to kind of allowed us to have that platform to provide a conversation. And one of the things I hope to see out of these new tracks with content creators and media channels is to have that conversation. So if there are things that you want to do and talk about, how do we meet publishers? How do we do some of these things? This is a place to do that, right? So having a roundtable discussion or a panel. I know we went and had our panel went for like another hour and a half in the social chat afterwards. So being able to do stuff like that, especially if it's content creators wanting to meet more publishers and do more things, that's a good starting base to do that. So it was cool. It's nice to see this, especially in 2021. So
yes, yeah. Also, I just realized for those of you who are watching who don't know who I am, I didn't introduce myself. I'm T. Kairas. I'm the Games Channel Manager at HABA USA. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I also am a voting GAMA member via HABA, and I'm also currently running for one of the open board seats, specifically for the publisher division. And Ross, I'm going to make Ross introduce himself really quick if people don't know who Ross is.
Sure, that works. I am currently the marketing manager at the Up. Yeah, I don't know what else to say that.
So that's why Ross is talking.
Sorry.
No, it was great. It was a great thing. I don't know, John, if you have more. Yeah.
Well, that panel you guys talked about at Expo, we actually tried to record at Expo. We had some technical difficulties. We actually did another one after the show where we actually brought the panelists back together again and recorded it. And that's available in our on-demand webinar library.
Yes.
So members can go through and see those too.
Yeah, the continuing education that the GAMA's been doing has been really cool. So hopefully with this kind of track, we can do more of that, right? So
yeah, there's some really cool panels that are coming down the pipeline that I'm excited about as a consumer of those, and then also potentially somebody that is talking with them or on them. Okay, Andy Matthews asks, how many GAMA members are there currently? And how many people do you think will be added with the new divisions?
We currently have just under 1,000 members. And then I mentioned they're based in 21 different countries. And we don't know because it's a broad industry, right? And we just cover just a small part of it. And so we're trying to grow and bring more people into the umbrella to kind of grow that B2B part of what we can do. So, I mean, basically the sky's the limit on what we can bring in because as long as we're relevant people, we provide good value for their dues, people will join the organization. And we're trying to do that. So that's definitely a goal we're working on.
Okay. Jake Oz asks, or says, they were a bit confused about why Kylie is having to run again. I thought he just ran after his initial appointment.
Sure, so that's good. So Kylie actually ran last year, I believe, to be elected as a GRD member. But recently he was appointed to fill a vacancy on the main board of directors. Our vice president left, and Andrew Chesney, who with Chip Theory Games, got moved over from director at large to vice president. And so Andrew is serving out the rest of the former vice president's term, which runs through March of next year. And then Kylie was appointed to Andrew's term, which actually expired this year. And so he's basically filling out the rest of Andrew's term. And because of that, that's why he's running for the at-large, where the retail representative on the board that's up this term. Does that make that clear? That's definitely a convoluted little, musical chairs, to say the least.
Yeah, I had similar questions. The reorganization of the board while it's moving down the tracks is very confusing. But yeah, okay. From Jeremy, has GAMA made any efforts to link up content creators with publishers without anyone having to attend a convention? The funds are tight.
Sure. And that's one reason why we did the GAMA Expo. Well, obviously the main reason is the pandemic, but the GAMA Expo online, this year, spatial chat. And so our goal is with this new membership category, having more of those kind of interactions that are online, that they don't have to drive or fly to Reno or to Louisville or whatever to go to the show. You can use more of these online things. And I know we've also started doing some more things where we're connecting retailers and publishers together. And so as we get more and more media members, I'd love to find ways to get them connected too. So getting ideas from Jeremy or whoever would be phenomenal. Because we want this to be of a service to you. So tell us how we can connect you, and we can provide a platform and a place to do that for sure.
Yeah. Jake asks, what's the plan to drive membership I feel like that is our most integral piece of in order for GAMA to grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. So following Origins, we're having the board retreat with the new board members, and that's a huge conversation we're going to have. And so we've actually got some ideas around when we hopefully staff back up in 22, when things get a little more stable. We're actually looking to bring a full-time membership person on whose whole goal will be doing these kind of things, going out and organizing, getting members engaged, marketing to them, trying to bring them on board. That's one of the things we're looking at. But again, the new board will have a lot of say in how we're going to be directing recruiting members to the association.
Jeremy asks, is there a group of cultural consultants to help publishers out?
I know that the diversity committee is working on a list of resources and contacts for people, and that would probably be included into that. I'll make a note here to follow up with them about that and see how they're coming on that.
Yeah, I remember there was a list being made. So yeah, I believe it's an opt-in list as well, which is important to point out. People can be recommended and then they're reached out to and then they can join the list or not. Clara asks, are committees going to be North America centric in terms of meeting times?
No, we try to be mindful of people who are in Europe. And so I know now it's 11 o'clock in the Europe. And so normally we try to have our meetings a little earlier in the day to make that, but not too many people on the West Coast have to get up too early and have breakfast with us. And so we're trying to figure out how to make a balance time. But as I mentioned, we're in 21 countries. And so people who, we had a person when we did the booth placement who was calling in from Taiwan. It was 3 o'clock in the morning for her to call to do her booth placement. And she woke up, did the booth placement, went right back to bed. I felt so bad for her. Like, just send me the list, I'll do it for you. But because we are international, we have to be mindful of that. And so we've definitely been trying to help accommodate that. So.
Yeah. And for the committees specifically, the committees are often, they're self-functioning. So if there's an active group on the committee and the committee is only 4 people, everybody's kind of in charge of, each committee is kind of in charge of their own timing schedule thing. So there's that as well. But yes, West Coast, early morning meetings, get used to it. There's a reason my camera's usually off. All right. Richard wants to know if we can do a full intro for anybody that's wanting to. I don't know if we want to do that with timing and questions. I would say if you, I would say if you want to speak up and ask a specific question via audio or give a suggestion for something GAMA can do, that kind of thing, I think introductions would be great that way. I just don't want to eat too into everybody's time. Mo says, will media membership in GAMA replace or supplement regular media badges at GAMA events? That's a great question.
It is. If it's a member exclusive event, yes. Like GAMA Expo, you have to be a member to come to that event. But a public event like Origins, no. We have a process. People can still apply to get media badges to come to Origins. They don't have to be members of GAMA. We like them to be members of GAMA, but we're not requiring that. And so we're still doing comp badges for the media at Origins. But for if you're a communicating member and not an actual voting member, you can buy a badge to come to Expo if you are not a voting member. So.
Yeah, and then that badge, just to be really clear, because we've had some communicating press members come to GAMA trade shows, you are at GAMA as yourself and your company and whatnot, and you can do press things, but you're not technically there on a press badge. Because there is no technical press badge at GAMA Expo show. But
I would like to, when we grow this division, I'd love to have media events at Expo. Because that's one of the things I think that really makes the toy fair really good is they have a lot of strong media who are coming in there doing, spotlight on toys and the games and all that. I'd love to see that eventually grow into GAMA as well. And that was we grow our media members to help them support them, to get them exclusive content to share with their audiences. It helps the members on the other end too. So that's definitely an aspirational goal for us in the next couple of years.
Jeremy, you just reminded me I did accidentally skip over a GAMA awards question. I'll skip back to that in a second. So Jeremy's got great questions. Asks again, so Jeremy works for a publisher and creates content. Do they need to check 2 boxes?
No.
I didn't answer the question.
Jeremy works for a publisher and creates content. So does he check 2 boxes?
He could have a membership under the publisher, or he could have his own under his media company. But again, he can choose which is best for him. We have some companies who, like you mentioned earlier at the top of the hour, can fit in multiple categories. They can choose what their primary category is. But if they want to be in another one as well, they can buy a second membership for their second company if they want. Because we have some publishers and retailers who are in both divisions, so they want to be part of both divisions for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, and so this is another thing. So that would give you 2 votes, but this is really important. As a voting member for like board membership stuff, you only can vote for your division's membership seats. So there is that clarification as well. Jimmy asks, are there going to be GAMA awards again? What is that going to look like? Committee, etc.
Yes, and so I mentioned we do have the new, we've made the Academy a standing committee. They'll be handling the awards after this Origins going forward for the nominations and the process for 22, the categories, the scoring, and all that sort of things, as well as the ceremony. For this year, we actually have announcing about next week about the Origin Awards, the first week of September. So I don't want to step on my announcement for next week, so I'm not going to comment on that. But we will have some information next week on the Origin Awards for this year.
Yes, and then
this is my coworker today, Dodge, who's joining us today.
Yes, Dodge sometimes often makes appearances when you're at home.
He taps me on the shoulder a lot too to get my attention. He's hilarious.
A clarification in regards to cons. If my channel is a member, would all 3 contributors get passes to GAMA events?
I'm not sure you mean by channel. If you mean your company is a member.
I think media company, yeah.
Okay, cool. So each company gets 2 complimentary badges to our shows. They can buy extra badges at discounted rates, especially for a consumer show. And if you're an exhibitor, in addition, you also get badges for being exhibitors too. So we have some people getting a dozen badges because they're exhibitors plus membership, and it's like playing lawyer ball, right? But generally, you get 2 badges per membership for each of our events. If there's a charge for the events, if they're free, then anybody can come. Whoever wants to come.
Yeah. So, for example, I have free badges to Origins. I have free badges to GAMA as the HABA publisher. So even if, how do I put this? Even without having a booth at the show, because we are GAMA members, we still get badges. But if for our purposes, because we're a publisher, when we do get a booth, we get our badges that are associated with our booth as well. So that's a thing. I think we've made it through the queue of questions. If anybody has any more questions, or if anybody has anything that they would specifically, now that you know what GAMA has to offer on the table and what the structure looks like and what kind of benefits there are already and where it's moving forward, I'd be really interested if anyone has any things that would interest them or encourage them, or what they think GAMA maybe could work on or improve on, work towards, that would specifically benefit the media division.
Yeah. So on the screen, there's a list of a couple of things that I've heard from a few people who've reached out to me already about ideas that, and also mindful that it's media and events. So it's also event organizing companies, people who put like, conventions, or if they're doing Extra Life, they're an event member, and so things like that. And so it's media and events in this category. So a couple ideas we come up with. One is a B-roll project, and that this person reached out to us and said, hey, as a content creator for media and reviews, I have a hard time putting together B-roll because I'm doing it all myself. If you could find a way to kind of centralize that with publishers, provide you stock images, or you can have somebody on GAMA staff or a contractor do these for us, and we can all just use it as supplemental content for our reviews, that could be very helpful. We had a very good conversation about how that might look, what kind of specifications they would like, and all that. So that's one thing we've been looking at. The other one is expanding our industry calendar to include conventions as well. So we can actually put the convention calendars on there too. Another person, they wanted event organizer specific education, especially around force majeure. Yes. How does that work? If I'm an organizer and a pandemic comes along, how do I not lose my shirt? But those kind of things. And that's just a huge issue of the last year. How does insurance work for running events? And so we were talking about those kind of ideas for education specific. One thing we are working on is an industry directory already with actual confirmation. So if I'm a media person, I want to talk to somebody at this company about their new game. Who do I contact there? I can go to GAMA as a member. I go to the directory and find that person. I can just contact them directly and say, hey, as a GAMA member, I want to ask you this question. And so we're looking at that as a potential option as well. And then the other thing is hosting events at network events at other conventions and shows. And so we, again, at the ALA, at the ABA thing, we did a publisher meet and greet with bookstore owners. We also did an event last year at Nuremberg before things shut down in 20. We actually we had like over a dozen publishers come together and have a nice little great roundtable discussion about the industry in Europe and expanding GAMA's activities there, which obviously is not happening now. But hopefully we'll get back to that here in the next year or two. And so any other ideas? I would love to hear from you, from what you would make this valuable for you and things that would help support your business. I'm taking notes here, so I'll shut up now and listen.
There was a great, Jeremy is knocking it out of the park today. Sorry, I also have to take a note that I really liked. Where Jeremy says, I really want media events, content creator promotion, publisher content creator intro events, GAMA content creator show online, that kind of thing. Seems like that's where things are headed towards the right direction. Can't happen overnight, which, yeah. I think those things are happening. I know that they're working towards it. I know the spatial chat and having this last year's trade show be virtual was a bummer in lots of ways, but it also allowed for a lot more connections with people who we don't normally have access to because of travel restrictions and things like that. So that was kind of nice. And I know they're moving forward with that kind of dual in-person and virtual for future. So it should help. And
I was curious, like it says GAMA content creator show online, what would that look like? So I could get a good feel of kind of get my head around what that might look like.
I'll let Jeremy type. My guess is that it would be similar to PAX has some trade day shows prior to PAX where people get invited and they can have seminars and conversations about certain things. So maybe it's a content creator show where they can have panels about like how to set up your OBS or like how to, maybe that kind of stuff. And then also publishers can come not as the primary people, but like the publishers come and talk to the content creators, maybe? I don't know.
I might be wrong, but I want to jump in on that. It would kind of be like where during the spatial event for the GAMA Expo where all the publishers have their booths and we all walk around their booths. Let's reverse that and give all the media people their own booths to show you the kind of content they create.
I like that.
And then all the publishers and retailers can come by and see what we do to kind of be like, ooh, you really fit a vibe that I could show your stuff in my store, or you definitely understand the concept of what my brand is about, would love to work with you, whatever, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I accidentally missed a thing. Tony says, I've almost forgotten GAMA existed. If you are a member, are there more newsletters or some of what communication happens to keep us updated? If you're a member, there are weekly newsletters. I will say right now, every other month, for some reason, the newsletter gets put into my spam filter and then I have to go kick it back out. And then it'll be in my main inbox for about a month or two. And then it just goes back in the spam filter and I have to fish it back out again. So that might be why you're not seeing those, just as a heads up. But I don't know if you are a member and you would like to make sure you're on that newsletter. I'm sure who John would be best for them to contact.
I can contact media@gamma.org. That goes to Kelly Mignogna, our communications manager. Again, that's media@gamma.org.
Crystal says, as far as things I'd like to see from GAMA in regard to the media group, active outreach to creators with smaller platforms to encourage them to participate, and easy ways for publishers to connect with media beyond the people they already know. Since this industry is small, I think we all tend to talk to our friends, which creates bubbles and doesn't help growth on either side.
Good point.
Yeah, and I think outreach and having more people engage with becoming members and having those conversations and doing the division discussion will really help with that. But there's also a potential where if those members and the only people that are active in the divisions are kind of that friend group, we have another potential GAMA bubble problem. So it's one of those where I would like it where we start off with a great mix of a lot of different voices in regards to the division engagement. And so it's not only a handful of people joined, they all really got talking and very close, and then it's hard for anybody to come in otherwise kind of thing. So that's one of the other reasons why we have this town hall. So yeah. Something for big for something big for media is I would love to see help with hosting costs, is what Mo says. And I'm not sure exactly which hosting costs you're talking about. Like hosting a website. Yeah, I'm not really sure on that one, Mo, but that is potentially part of the Horizon Fellowship. Also, education panels in regards to making your channel and your content sustainable from a financial standpoint. If your media content creation stuff is being operated as a business, you should be filing taxes. And at a certain point, according to the government, you do have to be profitable. So that could be tricky to figure out. So I'm sure GAMA can offer many panels and suggestions on like how to work towards that. And I'm sure that's something that the Horizon Fellowship would be perfect to help folks with.
Hey, can I chime in just for a quick second?
Yeah, no, go for it.
Hey, Andy Matthews. I don't know what Mo meant, but I wonder if you could roll that hosting suggestion up under like a discount for services type thing. That was one of my suggestions back when they sent out the original thing, you know, so like, for example, you got website hosting costs, you've got other various services. What if GAMA was able to reach out to various tech companies or whatever and say, hey, would you be interested in giving us a 5 or 10% discount if we send members your way? Something like that would be really cool.
No, that's a great idea. Yeah, I'm entirely blanking on potential digital services outside of like SteamYard and whatever OBS's fancy UI thing is that has a membership fee. But yeah, no, I think if anybody has a list of specific web services that they use or tech services and can provide that to John, I'm sure they can start talking about that. Yeah. Crystal wants a booth. Got it. Okay. Monica says, I think all of the listed ideas will promote us all to work together more easily and efficiently. I look forward to helping with event organizer education and getting more of us involved. They also like Richard's idea of giving media their booths. I also really like that idea. Maybe at GAMA, there can be one day where media has like a booth and then the next day publishers, because if we have booths at the same time, no one's going anywhere.
Yeah, I thought they mentioned they said for Wednesday night. They were talking at Expo or talking about like at Origins.
I don't know.
I wasn't sure because I could see both things because, you know, a lot of we've got, I know this morning we had like over 6 people who had asked for press badges for Origins and, you know, figuring a way to kind of get them connected to the exhibitors who were there because most of them are publishers who are members of GAMA anyway. So finding a way to connect them would also be another positive thing to do. Yeah,
at GAMA specific, you could do a press night. I've participated in a few of those. So like, for GAMA trade show, there is the game night where retailers and publishers can kind of mingle. There could be something kind of similar, but like flip it on its head, or maybe just make it's still a mingle event maybe. And then instead of like having random ads, maybe have screens that show content creators ad rolls, right? That could be an interesting twist. Kim says, I'd also love to find a way to expand our Inside the Reviewers studio panel with GAMA resources. That's a good one. I'm not familiar with that. I shall Google. If anyone wants to like mic on and talk, more than welcome. I'm just facilitating the chat part because I know it's easier for some folks. Chris says, I would love to see a Media GAMA meetup Wednesday night. I think that's in relation to Origins. Publishers come out and show stuff to media, meet new content creators, make a networking event. Went to something like this at PAX U in 2019, and it helped me start relationships with people. Yeah.
Cool.
A few people say that's a great idea. Yep. Speed dating content creator style. I like that. Yeah, Bluehost. There you go. Audio. Okay, so Mo is saying audio editing equipment, video editing equipment, web hosting, WordPress, etc. Mic, sound boards. Cost of equipment is a little different because it's not like a monthly thing, but potentially a discount code with a brand, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, we just spent quite a bit of money to buy video equipment from B&H. Maybe that they could maybe offer a discount for the association members or something. That might be something, at least making a query to them and asking that question. Because they've got very good equipment. It's very expensive though.
Yeah.
I thought it was expensive. I haven't bought a camera in a long time, so I'm jaded.
Lots of conversations in regards to the idea of like an event mingle convention thing. So maybe not full booths, but tables.
Yeah, I like the idea of doing a media
so-
hall. I
Yeah.
know when we did the site visit of the Galt House, we're doing the Louisville show. They had a like this area outside the main hall, which was like a smaller hall, but it's like it's actually just a pop out. It's in the hallway, and so it runs the things the hallway, but it's a pop out. That could be kind of a cool place to put something special there just for the media people. Could be very interesting.
Yeah.
I also
One
think
thing
that-
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I also think that how you are having the event on, is it September 9th is the next like gathering event?
That's
On Spatial Chat?
that's the next quarterly networking meeting. Yes.
Yeah. So like maybe after Origins, we could do a similar one, but again, it's flipping the script where all the booths are media folk presenting their style of media and services and stuff, and invite all the publishers and retailers to that event.
Yeah.
As a thought.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Jeremy's note on an equipment donation pool would be great. I would also just say maybe like a marketplace or some sort of Facebook marketplace within the group specifically for equipment sales, like used equipment, because so many of y'all upgrade and then your old stuff's perfectly good. So it's one of those maybe sell or giveaway, donate. It would be great to have the networking aspect as attorney creator with low income. From this, it seems like a bit of a mystery box. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we're doing this meetup. Yes, to equipment sales, love the idea. Speed dating is common with mommy blogging and other mass media content creation. Yep. Mo's wife has attended. What about a media or equipment rental library? That one's a good idea, but tricky. Because it means somebody has to maintain and check equipment status. But good idea. That one's just a little trickier for execution. But if somebody wants to champion it and run it, GAMA's great at, you want to do the thing, you want to help? Here's the committee where you do
Welcome
it.
to the room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey T, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, just a quick question because I just wasn't sure about this, and I know that we've had several terrible things that have happened to people in the industry, and I don't remember if there was like a policy you guys put out for conventions for reporting so that people are, I don't know, put on a list so they don't show up, or or where do people go if something happens at one of your events, like that kind of stuff, or if somebody needs to be reported just anytime so that they go, hey, one of your members did something, or something like that. I just didn't know if there was a policy somewhere that we can look at or share. Or
Yeah. We actually have a show code of conduct, and I will admit that it's kind of thin, but it's worked for many years. But I know one of the things we're looking at is updating that. With the new bylaws, we have a new code of conduct committee. We're creating a new code, and they're actually working out what that process is for reporting, for adjudication, as well as for appeals of decisions. And will be in place by the end of this year. But if somebody's at one of our shows, they can report to any staff person or to any volunteer at the show, who will then take them to the show office to make a report. And then we will pull badges, people who are being reported. Unfortunately, it's been one of my hard part of my job is I have to go enforce those kind of things. And so at every show we've had to pull somebody's badge for doing something inappropriate. And that's just people, right? So, but we will definitely enforce it. We have zero tolerance on that kind of stuff. And so the most recent one, we've already preemptively pulled the person's badge. Not that they have a badge currently for 22, but if they did, they would not be allowed to come to our show. They go on the banned list, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And for the specific situation that most recently happened, I asked this in the board meeting that happened 2 weeks ago. So the answer that I was given for larger implications in regards to GAMA membership and GAMA as like a board and entity, as opposed to the shows, is that the current code of conduct and bylaw stuff is still being refined and will not go in effect until November. And so with existing policy and existing bylaws for that kind of management of things, if it's not show specific because the shows have a different code of conduct. The most that GAMA can do is not allow for renewal of membership. Is that right, John? With the current code of conduct?
No. So under the current code of conduct, we can prevent an individual from being part of the association activities, but not the company. And so that's the reason why the new code of conduct committee will put that in place, that the companies are responsible for their actions of their employees. And so if an employee did something at one of our shows, we can hold the company as well as the individual responsible. Can't do that currently. But so that's one of the goals, because they haven't signed the agreement. They agree to follow that policy. And so in 22, to be a member, you must agree to be that policy.
I just want to make sure, because someone could have applied last year and then possibly got a spot on the board. That could have happened last year. I'm just thinking of recent events in light, and some of the stuff comes out of nowhere and it still needs to be addressed, like with the swiftness, or just people need to know if they're paying members too, specifically too, like, hey, I need to report this person. Where do they go? What do they do?
I'll point out that these policies are about, again, being able to remove companies from being part of GAMA. Currently, the bylaws do allow us to remove, like if there's a board member that something happens, we can remove that person.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is, to bring up a situation that happened, that is a situation as an example, is in 2019, one of the existing board members had a confrontation and situation, and it had to be reviewed by the board of members in regards to his status and that kind of thing. So there is, and those rules and code of conduct will change with the new code of conduct. It is going to get more, I want to say better. I was trying to think of a different word. Starting for 2022, But 2022, a lot of this stuff has been talked about and addressed, and the new code of conduct committee is working on putting in better policies to handle situations. So,
all right, real shift here. Just one more thing. Real shift. So the big one, one of the big ones is that MVM was doing the award show. I don't know, a couple of years ago, whatever, or something like that.
2019, I think. Yeah.
And it was tough because some of the games that they were representing were not kind of representing the entire hobby. And one of the thing is that what I took to heart was like, there's an opportunity here, and it had to do with the leak of not having this weakness of not having content creators out there to vote, out there to play these games and review these games. And I was like, what's the process here? Do content creators get to play the games and vote on them, or who votes on them? And I've heard publishers say, like, we didn't even know about this. So I really wanted to, if GAMA's going to have this big award show, then like, let's do it big, like actually do it big and make it a big culminating event that represents you very well. That's like a good way to have like a strong front facing thing. So that's what I was concerned about. I was like, I want to represent the hobby well, and not just have like another award, because a lot of people can do that.
Absolutely. So I think that's why, one of the reasons with the new bylaws, we made it a standing committee so we can actually have more control over how that process is. And so we want to get more members like yourself who come up and be part of that committee to figure out what the rules are, what the categories are, how we're scoring them, how we're presenting it, what kind of ceremony is going to look like. And so it'd be less the staff doing it, it'd be more the members organizing it, doing it under the auspices of GAMA. Yeah.
I know it's stressful, but geez, I mean, like, hey, find enough people who are interested enough to actually like kill it, like, so that way it can get done, That's all. All right, I'm done. I can talk forever.
No, thank you, Jeremy. All great questions and points. The awards thing, I know in particular, there was a reshift, and then 2020 just threw it under the bus. So I know the awards committee and the award program is changing, partially because 2020 like messed everything up kind of in like procedure and some of that kind of stuff, just because of lockdown restrictions. So I know that the committee is working on changing some stuff, which I'm personally really excited about. Miklos asks, what kind of human resources support does GAMA have? That's a great question.
Yeah. So you're asking something about for the members, correct?
I'm assuming.
Yeah. The answer is we don't have much for that at the moment. And so I like that idea. I'll add that down to the list of things we should be looking into as well. And so it might be we can find a company that offers a member discount if you're looking to outsource your HR duties. Obviously, as an organization, we have our own HR department, which we outsource because we have staff of 4 full-time people. So
Yeah.
So, but that might be a way we could find something that members get a discount to use one of these services or something. So that's
Yeah.
definitely worth looking into.
The question might have been more of like if members have an issue and need HR in regards to
I can
GAMA?
speak for myself. I
Yeah.
can
Oh,
speak.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's just HR because, a lot of the industry and everybody, period, needs HR support because we have so many issues that come up with sexual harassment and things like that. So what support is out there for human resources? Because see, I've been doing that thing for 20 years and I'm an HR manager right now. That's why I'm kind of going off and on because I got issues with my company right now. But, what kind of HR issues are out there to support, people in the industry?
Are you talking about, when you say people in the industry, are you talking about small companies, like publishers and stuff?
Yeah, small companies and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think that could be something that with your expertise to help us to create some of those resources for people, whether it's white papers or here's some best practices and give them these, like, here's an HR manual that's generic enough that you can use for your company. That could be something we could definitely create. We would need help, obviously, people like yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Alternative, like I mentioned, we can try to find companies out there who do this professionally so they can give discounts to our members. Those are the two ways I think. Just if you have other ideas, I'd be definitely open to them.
Yeah. That's that's one of those things. It's really tough for bigger companies. They have HR departments. It's a thing. For smaller companies, when it's 3 dudes in a garage, those are the ones those are tough. But that is, that's a great point. I did not know you were in HR. So
most people don't.
It's that whole, everybody has many hats inside and outside the industry, and not everybody knows what everybody's hats are. So yeah. Does anybody else have any questions, feedback? This has been super great, but I also want to be super respectful of folks' time. I have cleared the rest of my calendar, so I'm down to chat, but I don't know if John's dog can take being left outside for this long. Okay.
He's back in now because he's not an outside dog at all.
Okay.
We tried to board him and it didn't go well because they were outside people, and he's like, I can't do this. It's like, all right, agoraphobia or something, but he's actually sleeping next to me on the floor, so he's good. But I appreciate you thinking about him.
You know what? I'm all about the dogs. Another, Richard says that an award ceremony that would be a good show would be great. And I think if we have more media people come on, we can it can be a show and it can be more of a thing and be broadcast, and that would be great. Mo says, a follow-up or anything like this scheduled in the future, I'm assuming would be good. Mo says this is great insight in what GAMA could potentially do for us. And I will say, John has been working, a lot of this has come around because of the pandemic, which is a bummer, but silver lining, in that there's monthly, or are they monthly, or are they?
We moved them to quarterly, and so it'll be part of the event on the 9th. We're going to have time set up for each division to have this kind of conversations, because it's important, because since they're new, figuring out how they're going to work together, talk a little about their membership guidelines, what program service they can have. So we're going to have an hour set aside for each division to talk, and then we're going to have another hour just for general conversation, for everybody to talk, and then just networking time afterwards. That's kind of how it's structured for the next one. We announced that actually today, and the newsletter went out this afternoon.
Yeah, and that one's going to be September 9th.
Yep, my anniversary, so I will not be there because I told my wife I'm taking the day off to be with her. It's our 26th anniversary. I will definitely be there for that.
That, as you should. Well. So you make it to 27. Yeah.
Exactly.
That is great. And I will say the Spatial Chat program, if you're not familiar with it, it's like a video mingling conference thing that's in the browser. So there is that. You don't have to have video on, but you do have to be able to hear. So headphones and mic at the it's not as intense as Zoom. Yeah, and then the other thing, there's the weekly newsletters. I did want to point out though, just as a thing and a reminder, it's a weird time. So the new board change introduces that new seat specifically for the media division, and there is an election for that's happening, and voting starts September 1st.
Yes, and it runs for 2 weeks, electronic.
And it closes September 15th.
Yes, as long as you're a member registered by the 31st of this month, on the 1st you will get a ballot with the candidates for each division, for your division, I should say.
Yeah.
And it closes on the 15th. We'll announce it on the 16th, and then the new board will meet sometime a week or two later to organize themselves.
It will not meet at Gen Con.
We will not meet at Gen Con, no.
which is something that was originally scheduled, and then that was pointed out.
Well, to be fair, Gen Con changed their date. We didn't change ours. But we'll be respectful. We'll change our date to accommodate them. So, you know.
Oh, we have one more question. Monique says, I love the panels that happen at GAMA as the times are changing and we as an industry are turning a focus to inclusivity and diversity. What changes can we expect from GAMA going forward? Example, panel discussions featuring cultural consultants, how to make changes to promote inclusivity, etc.
Yes, and more.
Yeah.
The diversity committee has a very great agenda that they're working on, and they're going to definitely have a lot of input on some of the things going forward, especially at GAMA Expo. And so we'll have all the things that people can enjoy, but we're going to do this on top of that as well. So.
Yeah. And I will say the panel groups and discussions that are coming in the GAMA membership seminar series are, like I said, you can ask for one specifically or push for one and support one, which is great. There's one that just happened recently that's called Creating a Culture of Well-Being, specifically for like corporate wellness stuff within organizations, which is like mental health and things like that. Just as an example of the type of seminars that can happen that don't necessarily have to do directly with board games, right? So yeah, lots of different panel options and discussions, and they're all available for members through the website. They're recorded as well as you can watch live. So,
and if you want to talk on the topic or help put a panel discussion together and do something, we're happy to create a forum for that, because you know we got the technology. Let's make it happen. So
yeah, and I will say, so I am just a GAMA member. I'm a voting member, and this town hall happened because I was like, hey, John, we should do this. So it doesn't take a lot. It just takes poking John to like get this kind of stuff happening.
I'm very pokeable.
Yes. So I will just say, like, GAMA is working to be more proactive in engaging members and supporting members and wanting to do these kind of events to spread awareness and also listen to the community on what they need and want. So definitely take advantage of that.
So I have one last question. As far as what can we be doing between now and the next major event to spread the good word of GAMA, to hopefully bring in some new members, you know, what is authorized communication that we can do right now?
It's not about being authorized. It's whatever you feel you want to say. I mean, we're an open association. And so we don't have like, this is the party line. We don't have that anymore or whatever. We want people to be able to and be empowered to say what they want to say about association. And sometimes that's difficult. But we need to hear that because we need to know that we won't do better unless you tell us, right? And so we need that feedback from people. So I think just talking to people and saying, hey, it's a new day at GAMA. They're trying to do these things. Here's some projects they're working on. Here's the new categories. Have you checked it out lately? That kind of stuff would be really helpful.
Well, I'll be kicking in the doors of all the local retailers that I know aren't members.
That's good for the retailer division.
Yeah, well, I just moved to a new city, a bunch of new stores, and I've known a few of them aren't members yet.
So as I mentioned, this is recorded, and so it will be on our YouTube channel later this evening. Once Zoom finishes encoding it, I'll upload it this evening, and it'll be posted tomorrow on our social media platforms. People can see it on there too. So
yeah. I was going to say, Clara followed up, great comment. It's a good idea to have inclusivity and diversity flow through all the panels, which, yeah, absolutely. Does GAMA have sponsorships for members, especially for people of color or POC?
Yes. So that's part of the, under the current budget, the board did allocate $20,000 to help support D&I programs. And so part of this is going towards supporting the Horizon Fellowship. But we have other things too that we're working on for scholarships for GAMA Expo specifically. Some educational programs we're working on with the D&I committee. And so, yes, there definitely will be things in 22 along helping support people who are either new to the industry or need extra help to get to one of the trade shows or a program or whatever. So, yes. So I say keep an eye out for those. Those are coming soon.
Yeah. And I really, Rich, asking what we can share, I just really want to, GAMA is a nonprofit organization that is made up of members. And so it is your organization. Like if you sign up as a member, it's yours. So you can help spread the word about it. You can help influence it. You can help change it, but you have to be active in it, which I know it's a lot for a lot of people right now to be active in anything. I know outside of like work specifically, but GAMA wants to do better and put more out there and provide more for the entire industry. And the best way we can do that is if members speak up and talk about what they need and what they want. So thank you everyone for coming to this town hall and talking about these issues and also asking your questions and giving fantastic feedback. This is exactly what I wanted. So I'm excited for the September 9th conversation that potentially will happen and seeing more of you at board meetings. It would be great if I'm not the only one poking John every meeting. That would be awesome. Yeah. Clara says, I wonder, as I say, my channel has very little income. The 50% discount is very generous, but could there be a level/way of getting involved when even that is difficult right now? So
Yes,
yeah,
we've been talking about that as well as part of that, the scholarship I mentioned earlier. And that's something the board has on their agenda for the retreat they're planning for this fall. As we look into find ways to help people who that becomes a barrier for them to join the association. So we're open, we're looking at it.
Yeah. And then another one was, if GAMA could create some ads to share, people will share them. This is actually a great sum, such as Facebook ads to share on social media that say join us, or even those frames that go around your Facebook profile that says proud GAMA member, or potentially like a website sticker that you can add to the website, or maybe YouTube channels, et cetera, et cetera. I will also say GAMA has a Twitch channel. They have a YouTube channel and they have a Twitch channel, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So there's also some, as media members join, they can pitch ideas with like what to use those platforms for as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah, because the goal, especially with the Twitch channel, is we're trying to build up consumer focused to help grow the industry, right? To get people playing games and all that. So the Mark Space games, we come up with some ideas on that, but currently it's focused mostly on Origins because that's 5 weeks away. But once that's done, yes, we have to figure out what next to put on there, and getting content from the media people would be very helpful on that too, for sure.
Yes.
And on Monday nights at 9 p.m., if you're so interested, you can come watch me paint miniatures on the Twitch channel.
Well, except for this week, because it didn't happen, did it, this week?
I was set up and ready to go.
Fan.
All right. I don't want to eat up too much time, but right. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody coming again, especially want to thank T. That's great having you helping with this today. So again, we're going to have another one of these September 9th. Hope you have a good time there at the networking event. And then again, if you are a member, we encourage you, if you can, to come to Expo or either in person or online next year. Again, Origins, if you're a member, you also get complimentary badges for that too, if you can make it to that show too. So
yeah. Cool. And for those that don't know, GAMA Expo happens in Reno, Nevada.
2 more years. Yeah, that's in March.
Yeah, and it's in March, and Tahoe is right there. And there's a great ski hill that you can go to the weekend before or after. Anyway, John, what's a good email for anybody that wants to reach out about anything that happened in this town hall?
Sure, you can just email me at ed@gamma.org. That's executive director at gamma.org, just ed. Nice and simple. Or you can, on our website, there's a form you can fill out too if you want to get a more general question or whatever. And that goes to a couple people on the different people on the team. So again, we're your association. We're here to help you, but you have to let us know how we can help you. And so otherwise, we'll keep doing what we've always done, and we don't want to do that. We want to grow and be dynamic and have an awesome association for everybody.
Yeah, and this meeting will be recorded and hosted on the GAMA YouTube channel, so you can share it with other people or reference it in the future. And I'm assuming that'll get emailed out probably.
Yep. In fact, I'll send a link out to everybody on this list who signed up for it, because people, we had over 60 people sign up. We had about 20 people show up. So I'll just mail the link out to everybody on the list anyways. That way they'll have it. So happy to do that. Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thank you all very much. Take care and talk to you all soon.
Bye, everybody. Do the Princess Way. If Rick's going to do that one, I'll do this one.